Hey guys, coming at you with another What's Next. This is on WBO Super Featherweight Champion Jamel Herring of the United States. He's currently my number 7 fighter in the 130-pound Super Featherweight division. He's coming off of a hard-fought but deserving 12-round unanimous decision over Lamont Roach Jr. back in November. That fight actually took place in Fresno. I was actually there with my fiance Sarah, and we had a great time. That was a good fight. He walked away with a clean decision, even knocked Roach down late in the fight. Or no, actually he got clipped himself and hurt, but he bounced back and weathered the storm and took a clean decision and retained his title. So now, next up for him, looks almost for sure like he's going to be facing Carl Frampton. They already had a date in mind. They still do. It's a projected date of June 13th. With the coronavirus pandemic, though, it's probably not going to happen on that date. So probably going to get pushed back, but it looks like for sure him and Carl Frampton will lock horns for the WBO title. And he's going to be going on enemy territory to Ireland to face him. With all that being said, I think Jamel Herring's going to win this fight by late stoppage or a clean decision. He's much bigger than Frampton, and Frampton doesn't have great punching power at 126, moving up to 130. He doesn't have to worry about the power issue. I think the only advantage that Frampton has is speed. But, he's got the longer reach. He's a southpaw. He's a good boxer, and he's got decent power at 130. Not great, but decent. And I think he's going to win this fight. I think he beats Frampton. So now we're going to look at what's next after Carl Frampton for Jamel Herring. Let's run him through the top 10. We start with number 1 at 130 right now, and that's WBC champion Miguel Berchelt. I think this fight's very possible, to unify belts. Now, Berchelt is going to face undefeated Oscar Valdez next, and I think the only thing that could hold this up, there's a combination of things, because there's a lot of top-ranked guys at 130 pounds. So, Berchelt's the number 1 in the division. Would he want to face Jamel Herring? He said he would fight him, and then he didn't like his style and then went against that last year. So would he want to face Jamel Herring next after a Carl Frampton fight? Now, Jamel Herring's stock is going to rise beating a guy like Frampton. Bob Arum might push for a unification bout, but there's so many things that could go on because Herring might have to make a mandatory defense. He hasn't made one since he first won the title towards the end of, actually, no, one has not been made since either he was either the mandatory or the fight prior when Masayuki Ito made a mandatory in December of 2018. So it's been a while since a mandatory has been made, unless they count the Lamont Roach fight. See, I'm not sure with the WBO because Roach was technically number 2 when he went into that fight. WBO has not redone their rankings since the coronavirus pandemic, so there's a possibility that like Shakur Stevenson can move up into the WBO rankings and move straight into a title fight against a guy like Herring. I think that's very possible. So, but Berchelt I think is going to beat Oscar Valdez. So would they unify belts? Is Berchelt going to possibly be in line for Vasily Lomachenko next? There's a lot of things, but I do believe Berchelt is an option. I'm going to lean towards the less likely, but I think unifying belts against Berchelt after they both win their fights is definitely possible. Number 2 is IBF champion Joseph Diaz Jr. I think Joseph Diaz is tied up. 1, he's with Golden Boy, and I think he has a mandatory rematch with Tevin Farmer next, and then after that, there's an interim title fight due with Shavkat Rakhimov, so no chance, in my opinion, of this fight happening after the Frampton fight for Herring. Number 3 is WBA Super Champion Leo Santa Cruz. I don't see it. Santa Cruz is moving up to 135 most likely and challenging Gervonta Davis for the WBA title there. And they're with rival companies. Herring's with Top Rank ESPN. Santa Cruz is with the PBC. I could see if he beats Carl Frampton, then maybe Santa Cruz, who shared the ring with Frampton twice, would be interested, coming back down. But does he want to go straight into unification? Are they going to be able to cross the street? I just don't see that happening, so I don't think so. Number 4, Oscar Valdez. It's possible if Valdez pulls off the upset over Berchelt, or if Valdez throws a great fight against Berchelt and Berchelt doesn't fight him again, and Valdez is still sitting there wanting another fight, then it's possible. But 1, I don't think Valdez is going to beat Berchelt. 2, I don't know if he puts up a great fight. He could, but I don't know if he puts up a great fight with Berchelt. I personally think Berchelt's going to whip his ass. So I don't think this fight's going to happen next, but it could after both their next fights, with Herring facing Frampton, Valdez facing Valdez facing Berchelt for the WBC title. Number 5 is WBA regular champion Rene Alvarado, another Golden Boy guy. I don't see it next, for these two. I think he's got other bigger name options that he's going to take after. And Alvarado, likely Golden Boy wants to keep him in-house, hopefully line him up for Joseph Diaz in a unification sometime next year. So I don't see it, but not out of the realm of possibility. Number 6, Mickey Roman. If he can't find anything else, Mickey Roman's fought for the title a couple years ago, and he's a tough guy. He's been around for a while. I think it's possible that Roman could face Jamel Herring, but I'm leaning towards the less likely because I think once Herring beats Frampton, he's going to go step up a level, and facing a guy like Roman without Roman getting a big win in between would be kind of moot. He wouldn't really have to do that, and I don't think he would. Number 7 is Herring. Number 8 is former IBF champion Tevin Farmer. Don't see it. Farmer's lined up for a showdown with Joseph Diaz next anyways. If he became the IBF champion, Herring was the WBO. I just don't see with those matchups and one with Matchroom, one with Top Rank, them getting together for a fight. I mean, I guess they could, but I just don't think the style matchup and it's going to be a huge fight for the fans, so I don't see it. Number 9 is Andrew Cancio, former champion. I can see this. He's with Top Rank now. If Herring can't get a big fight after Frampton, he wants to stay busy. I could see him facing a guy like Cancio, so I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's probably 50-50, probably less than that. And then finally, at number 10 in that division is Jono Carroll. I don't see it. Matchroom guy. Carroll's not a bad fighter. He's coming off a nice win over Scott Quigg. Wouldn't completely rule it out, but that's Matchroom working with Top Rank. And unless Jono Carroll's a mandatory challenger, I don't think Herring's going to want to fight him. So what do I think Herring's going to do after Carl Frampton? I think it's kind of up in the air. It's going to be a Top Rank guy, and it could be Miguel Berchelt. It could be Andrew Cancio, one of the lower level guys. I really think Shakur Stevenson has a chance of landing that fight too, because he's probably moving up to 130, and they haven't redone the WBO hasn't redone their rankings. He's the champion at 126 for the WBO is Stevenson. He's undefeated. He's with Top Rank. It's an easy fight to make. They're going to move him straight into that spot, most likely. So, we're going to see. But that's what's going to go on. That's what I think is next for Jamel Herring. That's what's next. Hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.